Who is Garrett Smith? Oh. Well, he's sort of split up at the moment amongst everyone who has an idea of who he is.
My father was many things to many people while being the same thing. He was certainly a role model to me and to any number of people over a period of decades.
He was my partner, my husband. He's a native of Saratoga. People who were born here seem to have some kind of character of their own. At least they claim that.
He carried himself with tremendous amount of courage, but also a certain measure of grace at the same time, so it never really looked like it was that hard. But he had some serious stones. When you think about the 1970s and earlier, you know, people were not who they were if they were gay.
Whoever Garrett is, he's with us all somehow.
He was many things, but many great things. The man we knew equally as a work of art and a force of nature. The man we mourn today did not have an easy start. He came from tough stock, but it was another darker Irish cliche in his father that haunted the home he grew up in. Yet despite a start with everything going against him, Garrett ultimately became one of the happiest people any of us ever knew.
Garrett and I met in 1963 in the fall in New Haven at Yale. I was a senior and he was a first-year student. He came to me to get some tutoring in Greek because he had never had that language, and I had. We were from the same diocese, that is, Diocese of Albany. We were from the same area. We became more like friends and students, and we also were struggling with the fact that we were gay and trying to figure out how you express that when all of a sudden you find yourself married and with children. And 50 years before now, it was quite, it was a problem. But having somebody who was going through the same stuff that you were going through made a monumental difference in our lives.
Inseparable, perfect in some ways. I never saw a better relationship, I don't think, you know. He used to describe it as a lot of people want you to not be together. The whole world wants to separate you if you're gay. So very few of them do make it. But I think it had this you and me against the world, honey, you know, thing about it. And that really meant something to them.
I think we allowed each other to be who we were and enjoyed each other as we were. I didn't have any idea, well, why isn't he this way? Why isn't he that way? And he didn't either. We really enjoyed being together. It was lots of fun.
Defiantly positive, even with all the physical pain of aging, he insisted on the bright side.
Many of his expressions were lines from popular songs from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, which tended to be our favorites.
Honey, she's looking for love in all the wrong places. Growing old ain't for sissies. Scott, it takes a faggot to pretty a thing up. Yeah, needless to say, that didn't end up on a balloon. But he would have been fine with that because that's who he was. What he's going to be known most for is one word, and that word is nevertheless. And nevertheless is a fun, light way of saying never give up.
Nevertheless was an expression that was used in response to many kinds of situations, most of which are either not worth or not appropriate for telling, but they were very funny.
Nevertheless, he would say. Nevertheless, we continue. Nevertheless, I remain on this side of the grass. It's a lot of fun.
Soon it's plain, you've won my heart and I've lost my brain. It's delightful, it's delicious, it's delightful.
The thing that he liked to do the most was garden.
It's something he would get into, and he could lose track of time. I mean, he could go and work in the garden, and unless somebody got him or opened up with a rain shower or something, he would go for a long time.
The thing that he liked to do the least was housework, because I never saw it once in 58 years. He loved beauty. You all know that. In all shapes and sizes, music, design, dance, fine art, flowers, language, and all kinds of humor, directed at all kinds of people.
He's passionate about music, about Bach. Either of us go any place to hear him or do anything to hear him. Bach or popular music, and I mean the music of the 30s, that was a real passion of his. Anything that we went through together that was in the arts, music, dance, or theater, were some of the best times we had. I mean, they could really be super.
What a beautiful bridal suite. It's the dreamy, it's the rousy, it's the reverie, it's the rhapsody, it's the regal, it's the royal, it's the ritz, it's the lovely. We settle down as man and wife to solve the riddle called married life.
I hear about this legendary place, 150 Philo Street in Saratoga.
If you ever wondered why I became a social worker, start with the fact that after Patsy left Rolfe, and after they graduated from Yale, that's where they met, they moved to Saratoga, wanted to move back home, to buy a house. The three of them. So they bought a house, but it wasn't just any house. It was a 7-bedroom Victorian mansion.
There were Garrett and Barbara was a couple, and I was a person to rent the apartment. The Grandys were only the second family that had it, and they'd only been there for a couple of years, and they didn't want to stay there. So we bought it, and we moved in. And it was wonderful. What was magical about 150, it just gave you a sense of being able to breathe and not be constricted. Just had a grandness about it.
And that place was a unique and wondrous place in so many ways. You couldn't really explain it to people. It was, they'd say, who's there? What? Who's Stanton? Oh, he's there all the time. Why is he there all the time?
People would just come, and there'd be these colossal parties with 200 people in them. And so they got to know a lot of people, and they were all kind of welcome, and they were all, I guess you would say, opposition to the politics of the time, and big drinkers when it was okay still to be a big drinker, when alcoholism was alcoholism.
Sounds like the Studio 54 outside.
Very much, I think, except, there wasn't a rope guardian, to get into the place. It was just, come on in, Everybody could have come to 150 Philo Street, and that's what people remember. But what he loved most was people. From babies to old folks, black, white, gay, straight, man, woman, anyone. Till the end. I know this. He loved what was best in people, and he brought his best to people. He would engage anyone for no good reason. And he did so with courage, class, and an automatic compliment. He was very kind to people, and very kind to people who needed people to be kind to them. He was a leader, a light in darkness to people who were treated very badly by their own families because of who they were. And I would like him to be remembered as a friend, as a good person.
Garrett's legacy. Oh, that sounds grand. He would like that. He would be laughing too. His legacy is pretty clear, you know. It is simple. He wants everybody around him to be happy, to live out their happiness in the world. It was about that simple. Yeah, I think that is what he wished for everyone.
You never get that day back. It's about the day that you're in, which is the only thing that really matters. The times that you have with people that you love.
I don't know if he's waiting. I seriously doubt it. But if we meet, I'm sure he will be happy to see me. That's about as broad as I want to think about where he's gone, what he's doing. I love Garrett, yes, I do, very much. And that is a comfort.
Damn, I loved him. He was a great link from the golden age of Saratoga to now. He's an educator, he's a father, a revolutionary, a gentleman, and a damn fine dresser. It is not a tragedy, losing an 86-year-old body worn by time. What would be a tragedy is if there was even one less person actively demonstrating the values of civility, community, and beauty in all shapes and sizes, like my father, Rolfe, and many of you have spent your entire lives doing. Wouldn't it be great to thank him by complimenting someone for no good reason, or find humor in your aches and pains, or tell someone you love them? You love them just the way they are. Do this, and he is with us. He will always be with us. Nevertheless,